So today I wanted to talk a little bit about the really beautiful retreat we had this last weekend that Geshe Chodak taught. It was very helpful for my mind. And the first thing that comes to my mind about it is we talk about and study and read and meditate and work with afflictions all the time. We're taught to do that anyhow. Yeah. And what I love about this path is that it's familiar to me, this topic, and then there's a teaching that comes, and then it's like these things go into my heart, my mind, deeper, 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 deeper. And that's so beautiful. And it brings such conviction about the path, and also some confidence that I can progress on the path because my understanding gets deeper, deeper, deeper. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. That's kind of irrelevant, actually. So that's the first thing that I thought about when have been kind of chewing the teachings that were given. The first thing that Geshe-la shared with us was a verse from an Indian Buddhist master. I'll try to pronounce the name. I'm sure I will slaughter it terribly. Purnavardhana, maybe? Something like that. Anyhow, he wrote this in his explanatory commentary to Abhidharma Kosha. And he wrote, "The chariot of existence, driven by childlike beings, possesses the wheels of affliction and karma. But if the wheel of affliction breaks, the wheel of karma alone cannot turn." That is really helpful and really interesting, isn't it? He went on to say, Geshe-la went on to say that afflictions are abandoned only on the path of seeing, the acquired ones, and the path of meditation, the innate afflictions are abandoned. So what does that tell us? What does that tell me? It tells me that I'm going to have afflictions in my mind a long time. And so I can't cut them right now. I can't. So I have to learn how to work with them. And so this whole retreat was about looking at that and how do we work with these? And so there's a lot of layers to that. And I have to work with them with a mind that is very accepting. If I think that I have something figured out and I have banished it, then, it comes again. And if I think I've gotten rid of it, then I can get discouraged. So it's really important, for me at least, to remember that I'm going to be working with these for a long time. I was thinking also about my pre-Buddhism days and what my mind was like. And I lived in afflictions. There was no space in the mind for anything else other than reacting. That was my existence. And it was misery. It was misery. So then I met Buddhism, and then I learned about meditation and started meditating, and that brought some space in my mind and some awareness about what was going on. And then the next big thing that came, like the light bulb going off, is that this is all from my mind. So then that came, and then that left, and then it came, and then it left. I would remember it, and then I would forget it. I'd get pulled back into the afflictions, and then it was somebody outside of me that was the problem. That happened over and over again for a long time, So, but now I'm at the point where I don't fall into that too much, and I can crawl back out pretty quickly, so that's a good thing. So the point of practice for me is to try and decrease these afflicted states, because that's something I can do right now. And then over time, then there is more room in the mind to study and develop wisdom. When I studied wisdom, emptiness, before I worked much on the afflictions, nothing went in terms of the wisdom teachings. I kept thinking, this is English. What's the problem here? What's the matter? But, it would not stick. It was like Teflon, flew right back out. And so trying to study wisdom in a grossly afflicted mind doesn't work. Didn't work for me. Maybe it'll work for you. It didn't work for me at all. So really the doorway in for some peace that I can actually make a difference with is working with the afflictions moment to moment. Another quote that Geshe-la put, this is from the Amitabha, it says, "The latencies of afflictions are not abandoned. Objects serving as the basis for afflictions are to be seen, and one generates inappropriate attention towards them. When these are present, afflictions will arise." And so this whole idea about inappropriate attention, what we let our mind connect to, is very interesting. So inappropriate attention is projecting pleasantness or unattractiveness or something negative about something that is inherently existent. So, of course, that's going to bring misery. So, for me, inappropriate attention, the way that I work with it and think about it is any time that my peace of mind is disturbed, my attention is not appropriate. My attention is distorted. And so I want to turn the mind to more appropriate attention. And so what's helped me the most over the years, I think, is what it feels like in the body when I am focused on something inappropriately, when my attention, and what that means to me is my attention is very narrow, and I have exaggerated whatever it is. Either it's really wonderful or really terrible, and then I either want to get rid of it or I want to grasp and hold it. And so like attached to something, if I want to turn my mind from that inappropriate attention, then what I think of doing is thinking about what am I focused on, and what story have I told myself, and remind myself that it's impermanent, it's fleeting, it's okay to enjoy it in the moment, but then it's gone. And it's very low-level, mundane, quote, happiness, it's low-level. It's low-level. And so I think kind of what I'm doing is kind of opening up my view to see the full truth of this, what I'm focused on. And then that calms down that zingy, gotta have, I want it right now thing. And then it prevents from having the disappointment. Because if I exaggerate something and I want it and I get it and I hold on to it, what's the thing that happens after that? I'm disappointed. It doesn't stay that way. It changes. So it prevents that kind of misery. So if it's something that I don't care for and I have inappropriate attention, usually it's, criticizing somebody else or in my mind, or, it's not going the way I want or whatever, and focused on that, usually it's a person, then what I notice, of course, again, my view is very narrow, and I'm looking at one teeny aspect of the person, and I am blowing it up to something bigger, and then I keep focused on it and keep kind of ruminating on it to the point where it becomes an enemy image to my mind. So it's very misery making, of course. So with that one, what I try to do is remind myself of all the causes and conditions that came together that that brought this about, whatever it is. It's usually a circumstance. And so I make myself identify all the things that contributed to this thing happening, this person reacting in this way, this sentence spoken, whatever it is. And when I do that, then that also opens my perspective and turns the mind from the inappropriate attention to a more realistic idea of what's going on, and then that helps. The key to these, though, is catching when my mind is disturbed really early on. If I don't catch it until it's gone for some time, then it's really hard to work with the mind, of course, because I'm, really totally afflicted at that point. So when that happens, I shut my mouth. That's the one thing. And I, exit left, leave the area, and try to work with my mind. And then I take it to the cushion. And then later on, when I'm calmed down a little bit, I'll go over the scene again, but I will change the script and make it so it was with appropriate attention. And so I live it again in my mind in that way. And that has been very helpful. Our imaginations are really powerful, so that's helpful. So anyhow, we have a lot to do, but we have a lot of resources that we can use so that we can continue to work with the afflicted mind. And the last thing I wanted to share is some words that His Holiness taught when he was doing a teaching on Way of Bodhisattvas and mind training like rays of the sun. And His Holiness said, "We are unhappy not because we have a mind. We are unhappy not because we have a body. We are unhappy not because we have a sense of I or mine. If you then ask, then what is responsible for our unhappiness? It is solely because of the afflictions we have. Therefore, we must apply antidotes to the afflictions." So let's focus on that, because we'll get some traction with that. We'll get some skill. We'll get some contentment. We will then have some space in our mind where we can actually start studying the things that are harder for us to understand. And doing that, then we'll progress on this beautiful path to full awakening so that we can be equipped to benefit all sentient beings in the exact way that is needed in each moment.